Thank you and welcome everyone. And I'll go, I guess, stand over there. Yeah, as mentioned, so the WOW Summit is on the 26th and 27th, and we've got a big following that will be joining as participants, either as sponsors or speakers from companies like Consensus, Hextrust. We've got PwC, Animoca Brands. So we've got some big brands coming out, and I really hope that all of you guys can spread the word. Because it is a premier Web3 event here in Hong Kong. And as you know, the market is back if you're not buying into coins. It's a very exciting time. But not only that, as we see the market build up, for sure more investment money is coming into the market, and for sure there'll be more development in the Web3 space. Now, we curated this panel here today. Each one of us has a very unique background. All of us very deep into, I guess you can say, the startup ecosystem, especially here in Hong Kong. And maybe we'll just start with introductions, starting with Ivan.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Arthur. So my name is Ivan. I'm a global CEO at WOW Summit. And I'm also the founding partner of uvicon.vc, venture studio and consulting firm, which is hosting WOW Summit in Hong Kong. So my background, I'm a serial entrepreneur since 2010. Before that, I used to work on different positions on like business development, and since 2010, that time I came to like Web2 space, was founding my digital marketing agency. I also was the founder of a couple of marketplaces, education marketplace and the real estate marketplace, matching the buyers of real estate and like tutors and students. And back in 2015, I moved to Shenzhen first, and then 2016 to Hong Kong. So almost 8 years here. Just got my PR in January. And I'm in the Web3 and crypto space since 2017. So when it was, I would say it was the first bull market. And Hong Kong was very active, so everyday events, so crazy ICOs, so different kind of like people coming to Hong Kong, some scammers raising money, so some good projects. Yeah, so it was interesting journey. And 2018, so I founded my venture studio and consulting firm, and 2022. I took over the WOW Summit, which was originally organized in Dubai, but I'm the guy who actually brought it to Hong Kong. So last year we had around 5,000 attendees. The event is also supported by Hong Kong government, and we are happy to have supporting partners like Cyberport as well. So this year we are expecting more attendees. I think the difference between WOW Summit and other crypto events that we are trying to showcase and to bridge traditional world and Web3 space. So an example, this year we have a very interesting collaboration with auction house called Sotheby's. So this is like the oldest auction house with 275 years history. And they will be showcasing their like generative art and digital art. So they are exclusive curator of the digital art zone. So it will be very interesting. And actually tomorrow morning, you can also listen to the AMA session with Sotheby's, actually moderated by Arthur. So yeah, this is like long story short. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
You sure it was short? So hi everybody, my name is Akina Ho. I am the co-founder of All-Star Women DAO. It's an investment DAO that supports the female founder and male founder that supports female in the Web3 and Gen AI space. So before I was in the Silicon Valley, so in a couple of startups funded by big names like Kenneth Perkins and stuff like that, Microsoft, you name it. Then I helped build a unicorn in Hong Kong in 2017 after joining them about 19 months. And then, so what do I do now, right? So I've left the corporate world, went to the Web3 space to start All-Star Women, build community. I'm sure, because I'm in the startup world, I built businesses before. A lot of you guys who are starting or thinking of entering Web3 or starting a Web3 space or AI space, you might say, how do I start? Where do I get connection to help me launch my career? Where do I find legal help for free in the beginning? How do I get some investor input into my investment deck, right? All these issues you might have to run your company, found your company, start your company. That's what I do. That's what my community does. We have a lot of people in our ambassador group. Others an ambassador of All-Star Women that consist of like close to 800 people that are like our caliber, right? And 60% are C-level executive, founders, investors, and creators and startup founders. And 40% are senior management, young professional students in the Web 2 and Web 3, right? We have, just among the founders on the core leadership team, we have over 90,000 followers following us right now in what we do. What we do, it's very unconventional. We do it for free. We don't charge you anything, right? So we're global. We have about 11 chapters. And then WOW Summit is one of my favorite summit, right? Great leadership team, great content, and very generous in supporting all the startup ecosystem that's in Hong Kong. So All-Star Women has an office in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and of course in Singapore. And then we're launching our Shenzhen office in May, end of May. And then the reason why we open offices is because we want to support every ecosystem that wants to grow out of their own local atmosphere, right? Especially if they want to come to Hong Kong, we welcome, because I do believe Hong Kong is the hub and future of all Web3 and AI company in Asia.
Thank you, Kino. So myself, I am currently actually the head of content for WOW Summit and curating a lot of the speakers, especially on the AMAs and also for the YouTube channel for WOW Summit. So I encourage you guys to go there because we not only interview these guys or founders or people in the industry just to have them promote about their business. It's actually really understanding why they got into the business, how they started, how they got funding, or they talk about basically what the trends are. So I think whether you're an investor or you're trying to connect with other people in the space, which this is, you know, Web3, right? We're talking about connecting the world through Web3. I mean, you talk about, Ivan just talked about Sotheby's. I'm doing the AMA tomorrow. Now this guy has a completely, maybe like a non-technical background, but has moved into the space through art, going into digital arts and NFTs. And then he's seeing a different, let's see, opportunity for that vertical itself.
Who's this person you're interviewing tomorrow?
Michael, I forget his name, Bruna?
Bruna, okay.
Yeah, you know him? Yeah, okay. Anyways, so currently I do a Web3 podcast, and I interview a lot of people in the space. It is mainly connecting people to the rest of the world. That's one of my main things. And I got into the crypto space. Same time actually Ivan did. That's actually how we met. And I was into ICU advisory at that time and moved and worked with a couple of exchanges here in Hong Kong. So yeah, so I think what we can start off with is just talking about, we all are well connected in the Web3 industry. Maybe we can talk about, what do you see are the opportunities to go after in 2024 now that the market is coming back? Because it's going to get crazy again, I feel. What do you think?
What's the question again?
Oh, like, what do you think? Where do you think the opportunities are to like start a business? Let's say that.
Okay, so to me, I always tell executives, right? So I'm an advisor on a lot of executives and companies like that. From the time that ChatGPT was launched, and then within 6 years, Microsoft, no, not Microsoft, sorry, Amazon, IBM, Google, and everybody suddenly said, I have ChatGPT related product too, right? So what the amazing thing about OpenAI, what they did was not that they now had 100 million users in 2 months, which broke the record of Instagram, which did it 4.5 years. Facebook did the same amount in 9 years. That's not the main point. The main point was they forced every big company out there who were building the Gen AI product to release it to the public. So in the next 2 to 3 years from now, it's all game, meaning that a lot of real startup companies are using Gen AI to build products. I call this is the incubation period. You're safe now. But in 2 to 3 years, all these companies have been building for the next 2 to 3 years will come out with products that disrupt everything. So if you want to start anything, there is nothing to stop you. It's all up to your willingness, your resilience, your imagination, and your ability to execute. Okay? Gen AI can do a lot of stuff, especially in the Web3 space, with the blockchain automations and blockchain, NFT automation and minting, right? Whatever it is you want to do. DAO management platform, which I'm building, right? And it's open for me to determine. I talk to the likes of Hashkey, Animoca Brands, and very senior level people. And then they say, wow, you're doing something really new, it doesn't exist. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. And it's up to you. Like before, 20 years ago, Uber didn't exist, YouTube didn't exist, right? Amazon didn't exist. It existed now today because someone thought of it. So I see it open wide. And then if you're in a Web2 company, if you don't pivot and find new ways, you will be disrupted. Will you be gone like BlackBerry? I don't know. It depends on the industry. But you have to be aware. You're not safe. No one is safe.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about opportunities and about the blockchain space, I think we are at the stage of still like very early stage of the market, and upcoming 5-6 years will be very interesting when we will see kind of like the first real adoption of the blockchain, and I think so. This year, institutional like approval, I would say, like by approving the Bitcoin ETF, is a big thing. So more institutional money will come into the space, and my prediction for kind of like for the next decade. So the blockchain technology itself, so the protocols, so they will become quite similar to like programming languages. So when actually, and the real adoption will happen well when people, they will not think about like they are using blockchain. They will don't know they are using blockchain, but the blockchain will be underlying the technology.
Yeah, so for sure, there's a lot of opportunities out there always in technology. But I think one of the things that I see maybe coming is because when the market does come back and you're saying use AI into your business, there's going to be a lot of projects doing cash grabs, right? To build a story about something that's never been seen before, they get some raise, some money, and nothing gets built. You think that'll happen again?
Oh, will always happen. There's always bad actor everywhere in any industry, any country, in any culture, right? But the thing is that to be, if you're an investor, you have to be very smart to know how to look underneath the hood, to say if there's actually an engine there, right? Or it's just the face, right? So just be careful, right? Especially, hopefully, I built a unicorn, and then I work for someone who's extremely bright, very smart, great idea, raised really well, right? And then I hope him raise 125 million US dollar in one night. I wrote the business plan in one night. He's an amazing smart guy. He's like, Kina, I want you to put in a business plan for me to pitch to, Foxconn CEO and chairman, Terry Kwok, tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm like, and it was like 7:30. I said, shit, right? And I built it. We got it raised, and then it was the largest raise, and then we built the business, and then we were moving on to something, right? But what happened is that when you are a founder and a leader, when you pivot because of what your investor's driving you to, you'd be very careful, right? So even though you might not have the intention of doing crash grab and stuff like that, some investor might drive you that way, right? And you're forced to do it because they want return fast. So you have to be very, adamant about what is your vision, what you're building, and don't get distracted by the money and stuff like that. So the reason why I left that company is because the vision of what we want to build has changed. It's no longer why I joined the company, right? It's no such thing as right or wrong. It's like, what is it that you are believing? What are you building, right? As long as you keep core and ethical, into your decision and what you build, then it's not a cash grab. That's how I see it, right? And if you fail, no one's perfect. Even Steve Jobs failed many times. Don't worry, he founded 7 companies. I'm not sure you guys are aware, right? Not everybody's an Apple, right? Or a Pixar, right? And those are 2 you remembered. He found 7 companies, that 5 of them failed. You never heard of it. So it's because of his resilience. It's his belief. He dropped down, come back up, right? Drop it down, come back up. Jack Ma said it too, When he started, no one believed in him. Took him lots of resilience in building it, and the vision he wanted to build, gathered a bunch of people who built it. It can't be a cash grab at that point because no one believed that e-commerce can exist in China, but he made it happen. So it's actually belonging to the founding team, the staff, the people behind it, to make it a real company.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about investments and the market, I think there are like two parts. So one part is like really crypto market where everyone like betting on the coin or whatever. So another thing is like the project itself, like underlying technology teams. So that's pretty much similar to traditional venture capital market. And of course, there are always like good actors and bad actors. We can remember like Theranos, which actually like raised 1 billion US and then failed. So and many other projects like absolutely not related to crypto. So in crypto market, of course, 2017 when it was like all this crazy ICO boom. So I think 99% of projects which raised money that time, so they failed. But there are projects like, an example, Polygon. So I was at Hyderabad in India back in 2018, and it was some like small event, pitch event with guys, organized by guys called Jan Balina. So I don't know like whether you know who is it, but that time he was super popular. And one of the teams who was pitching like at that event was Matic team. So 2 guys from Matic team. So I think the entire team was maybe like 5 people or so. And that time they won that event. And now we see like what Polygon is like and how it's like adopted to our real life, making the partnership with real companies like Grab, like Starbucks, anything. So I think it's like quite kind of good example of good actors, I would say. So and if giving some kind of like advice or whatever, so it's always about the research. So and it's always about the people and also always about the team. So have to see like who is building and what's their background and what's their mission and what's their vision and what's the business model underlying. So this is most important, I think.
Thank you, Ivan. Yeah, so for sure, look, Web3 crypto is no different than any other market out there. There's always business guys out there peddling something, some new idea, some new skincare, some new laser technology that'll make you 10 years younger. There's a lot of people out there, and they will get funding. It's just the nature of the game. But I think what everyone's talking about is basically as a founder in itself, as a company, there is that line that you have to draw. Whether you're investors that come in, like, so number one, there's always that choice. Do I get investment early on and give up a large sum of my ownership, or do I try to go revenue first? Or build some revenue to prove you can scale and then get your money afterwards, because sometimes you give a little bit less of your ownership. But in either case, you still have to run after and get business, and everyone's got their same approach. And I can imagine for some owners that I've actually interviewed before, it's very difficult, especially when the market is soft and you need to survive, right? So instead of like people like taking out like a loan out from their homes or using their savings, which some people have, I mean, some people just decide not to, and they try to go after angel funding. And one thing I actually learned about angel funding, or seed guys, they're like anywhere between like 10,000 to 25,000. There's actually so many guys out there who would actually take a risk on a company. The problem is having to find them. So if you're trying to raise like 3 million, you got to make a lot of calls, maybe like 500 calls if you're going to get small ticket sizes like that. But anyways, so I think for sure, I mean, it's going to be down to the people, their vision, and how strong and resilient they are to go after and actually build the business the right way. Yeah.
Well, let me tell about something about raising. A lot of people ask me, should they ask for money? I always say that if you're going to ask for 10 to 20,000 US dollars, don't ask. It's the effort. It's not worth the money. If you're going to go after 10, 20,000, ask your friends and family and take out a loan, right? Seriously. And when someone at that early stage, no one's going to invest in you, and then the effort to sign contracts and things for that amount, not worth it, right? So when you raise, you have to be very strategic. You have to decide, do I want to get an angel round, right? Pre-seed, seed, and et cetera, right? There's criteria what stage you're in. So if you're building a tech company, you definitely need raising, because there's no way you can build, unless you are an engineering yourself. Okay, I'm not sure you guys heard about the story about Twitter. I mean, not Twitter, is it, sorry, TikTok. I'm getting them, all the T's mix me up. So it started with 2 engineering. They developed the tech, right? And then they pitch it to the guy that's from Singapore. What's his name again? The handsome guy? that handsome guy with a pretty wife from MIT, so Harvard or whatever it is. So extremely bright. He saw the tech. He loved it and he invested in it, right? From here, he helped them raise, right? So there's two type of company that raise. One is a tech company raise. You're a tech focus, right? And you built it first. It's so good that people will want to just invest in you because your tech is goddamn good. The other one is a business model raise, meaning you have a business model that you base on a tech. And you don't have the tech, but you have great business model. People love it, right? So what type of business that is a tech raise? TikTok was a tech raise, okay? Uber is a business model raise. Airbnb is a business model, right? Because they basically they didn't have the tech early on, but the concept, the business model was unique, different, opened a whole new brand of industry. People put money in so they can build the tech to support the business model. So if you're going to raise, you need to know what kind of company you're building. That affects your valuation. And then early on, from angel to PA, your valuation is like this. I think that's much I'm worth. And once your valuation is set, it's because someone believe in your vision, believe in you, what you can do, and they give you money at that valuation. People ask me, how do you know what is the valuation? It's up to you. What do you think you're building? What is it worth, right? And if there's someone else believes in you in that valuation, once they give you money, your valuation is set. So that's how early raise is, and that's based on my experience, right? So the largest I ever raised was 125 million US, so it's not a lot, right? And so, and anything bigger than that, it's all based on your investor relationship, how far you go, and how many billion you're worth, right?
Yeah, I raised money several times in my life for my projects and also for my clients' projects. So I would say it's really depends on, first of all, it's all depends on the team. So like, and investors, they are normally looking into the team and the background and like if the team have built anything in the past and what the relations between the founders. Because I would say from my experience as well, so the team and the relations between the founders, I think this is a key thing in success of any startup. So because once, even like if founders they raise money, once they raise money, they start to kind of like split this money, making the budget, whatever. So, and then where the conflict, normally the conflicts between the founders are happening. So, and I saw so many successful companies which got into like the conflict of the founders and they failed. Even they like were like a unicorn, billion-dollar company, whatever. So, still fail. Like if there is like the shareholders conflict. So, in terms of the technology itself and the business model raise. So, I would say if you are coming to the investor, then don't try to say like that your project is like so unique, it has no competitors, anything. If it's like has no competitors, then it has no market. So improving something in the market is okay. So making something like better than others is okay. So, but if there is no competitors, I would say like there is no market. So if we're talking about Web3 space, and if we like put aside like all this just like raises for getting the money, don't connect it like to any kind of technology or business model. So this is like all the like scam projects, trash, whatever. But if there is like the real kind of utility, if there is like real technology, if the token has some value in the project in the future, and if there is like healthy tokenomic, so then probably this project like will survive in the future.
Thanks. Yeah, so I actually had an interview with the CEO of ChainUp. His name is Mr. Chung Ho, and they build technology for bringing old traditional businesses in, tokenizing it, these assets onto the blockchain. But in the conversation, and this is what I wanted to bring up, was that he had acknowledged that when he works with like banks or old financial institutions, whereas he plays or he works with other, I guess, people in the Web3 space and crypto guys, The speed at which they move is completely different. So this is almost like a reality check if you bring anything to market. If you're going to go out and you're going to try to convert some traditional business and move them forward into Web3, it usually takes a really long time. Like for him, when financial services, he's talking about like 6 to 8 months. Whereas someone in the crypto space, in the Web3 space, you can pretty much get them on board within a month. So the speed at which people work in the Web3 space, and we're talking about, once again, connecting the rest of the world has yet to still move in to the space. And this is where a lot of the opportunity is, and that's why we're holding WOW Summit to get sort of the innovators and then also people in the traditional space to come together to collaborate and figure out where the next opportunity is going to be. But when we talk about Web3 resources, I want to ask this question: like, what do you guys think are people in here? Where should they go? Or what type of resources would you recommend to build your business, build partnerships?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, number one, you have to go to the WOW Summit to start meeting people and listening to people who has built it, is up there, or building it, to learn from them. I always believe that you should go to Summit to listen, because the people who's on stage, they have at least 10, 20 years of experience, right? Maybe even you only listen to 20% of it. That's 20% of someone's 20 years life. If you have 4 people, that's 80 years, right? So that's a lot of years you're learning from people's insight. I always learn when I go there, and I listen, and I don't play on my phone. Sometimes I do. If they have a boring speaker or boring panel, I get distracted. But I think I get 20% of the whole thingy. And I've gained years of experience from a lot of people from different spaces, right? So that's one thing. Second thing is like join a community. There's a lot of community out there. All-Star Women is one of them, right? I'm in a field community. I'm in a crypto-based exchange, blockchain tokenomics community. I'm in a travel community. I'm in a party community that's in the Web3, and then there's All-Star Women DAO, right? So join a community. If you don't know anything, it's okay. Watch and listen and read everything that's been sent out. That's your education. There is no school. School and education do not teach you anything about Web3. Let me tell you this. They have to change, nor anything about AI. That has to change. I'm not sure you guys recently saw a video from Elon Musk. He basically said that he doesn't believe that children should go to college. Well, that's a problem, like we can disagree or agree with that. I won't say what I think. But he said you just need to know the basic, because in the future, a lot of stuff you learn in college is done by AI. I believe in that, right? To what extent, I don't know. Like what kind of technology will come out, especially with Gen AI right now. Right now, there's so many topics. And if you guys not looking into Gen AI, you need to. Because that's majority of the job that when you have children, when they graduate from college, a lot of jobs that you think exist right now may not be around, right? So, so you have to learn what experts are saying, but you have to be smart enough to filter those information. Don't believe in everything you read, right? So I get tricked into that too sometimes. You need to filter and say, is that true or not true? Or that person lying, right? But you need to think and filter and also research to make sure that's the truth before you actually execute on that information. So that's very key, right? So it's 3 parts. Go to Summit, listen to experts, join community, and really get involved and understand what a community is in the Web3 space. It's very, very different in the Web2 space. I learned a lot building All-Star Women DAO as a community and joining other community, right? And third thing, yourself, you have to self-educate. You have to be taking the tenacity and the time to learn and be part of it. Because to tell you the truth, that's where we're going. Think back 20 years ago. I'm not sure you guys are born that year yet. Some of you, it looks very young. So there was no internet. And when the internet first started, a lot of big name, famous billionaires wrote books and said the internet is a fad. It will die and go away. Now that we're here, do you think the internet's going to go away? So the same thing as Web3 and Gen AI. Same concept.
Yeah, if you're talking about resources and community, you are right. The difference between Web2 community and Web3 community is really great. So I can give you an example. So I went to Web Summit in Qatar last month. So and there was like quite a few things like about Web3, couple of panels. So Robbie from Manimoka and a couple of other guys. But mostly Web3 community or Web2 community and Web2 investors, startups, whatever. And I would say that Web3 community is much more open-minded, much more like helpful, supportive to each other. So when you go to like Web3 event, so everybody is, oh, what are you doing? Oh, how can I help you? How we can partner? Blah blah blah. So investors are also like very open-minded. So in Web2, it's kind of like a little bit, oh yeah, different kind of like close groups. So people just don't want to talk to each other. So I think the networking is one of the best resources. But on the other side, I do believe when I just got into the space, so there was really like gray area. So quite a few people, they knew like about the blockchain and how it works. Everybody just wanted to raise money with ICOs, many scams. Nobody like understand really like what's going on. So at the conferences, so the speakers were absolutely kind of like, some of them they knew something, but many of them they don't know something like about the blockchain. But what I see right now, the space is evolving, and the conferences also we can see people with like huge experience, not only in Web3 but also like in traditional business and Web2 space, coming into Web3 space. I think also like many books already written by very reputable persons about the blockchain technology itself, about blockchain technology, about the marketing in Web3 space, about like fundraising, whatever. And I think, so the market is really evolving, and that's good. So now I see the third bull run, if we are talking about crypto, and it's always different. So in 2017, it was kind of like gray, really gray area. 2021, when it was like the second bull run, okay, there was like many kind of like guys who got super rich because of they invested some money in 2017. And I personally knew like some guys who like was nothing and became like the millionaires. So, but later on they like, mostly they lose money as well. Yeah. So right now I see the space is getting more mature. So it looks more like traditional venture capital space. So the projects, the protocols, and the technology is like getting better and better. So, and I do believe like we will see the real life like use cases and adoption and institutional adoption as well in the nearest future.
Yeah, I think essentially, if we want to summarize it, I think the biggest resource is actually the Web3 community itself. If you've been in it long enough, and then you're meeting people, and if they've never heard of you, they may question whether or not to work with you, even though they may be helpful. So actually, if you're trying to build a business and you're trying to connect with the Web3 community, you got to go to events, not only WOW Summit. I mean, pre-COVID, it was really crazy. People going to like 10 events a year. But that's the reality. Eventually, people say, "Oh, it's the same people going," but that's how you get integrated globally, because Web3 is going to be, it is a global community. Yeah. We'll do some Q&A now. Anyone have any questions for the panel? Yep. Go ahead.
Thanks, guys. I think a question for Ivan, actually. I got involved in the crypto and blockchain in 2021, the second boom. I was in Silicon Valley, and I was a venture partner of a Silicon Valley-based VC firm that did the blockchain-based investment. So I sat through a lot of investment committee meetings. We went through a lot of projects, and the same as your statistics, 99% I think all didn't survive. And then I came back to Hong Kong in 2022, and at that time I helped one of my friends who wanted to do a play to earn sort of a concept of ideas, and we pitched to family offices, and we were told explicitly that don't do a prototype, don't do anything, okay, just put together a pitch deck, because those pump and dump, they don't want to see any physical. Once you have something prototype out there, it's a tangible, the potential follower will lose the imagination, and therefore they won't put in the money. They just, I'm wondering for the past couple of years, I mean, has that changed? Because, okay, I do hold on to my Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, but other than these leading so-called infrastructure related, I mean, are there any real cases project that's been evolving for the past couple of years? I mean, AI, I see very clearly. I mean, we have a lot of application, but in terms of the Web3 space, I mean, I also believe in NFT. I mean, although some of the value would not be as bubbly as a couple of years ago, but you guys, or even Akina, are you guys seeing any real use case project examples that's been involved? I mean, I'm very curious, yeah.
Okay, that's a very good question. So right now, as of today, a lot of blockchain stuff has not been adapted by major stream yet. So that's the challenge. We call that the abyss. And regarding what Web 2, Web 3, whatever it is, when you create product, the hardest thing is crossing the abyss to go up to the top, to go to mass adoption. Right now, there isn't. The reason why it's so difficult for Web 3, a blockchain company, to make it to the mass adoption is because Web 2 is so mature. If the user can use a certain company or product or services so easily on Web 2, why would they adopt Web 3, right? So that's the one thing. A lot of blockchain that is being used are in the back end, from B to B. Like Zhao Tai folk, they use blockchain to identify diamonds where they come from. So that's being used. IBM in the US with a few big name, I think Procter & Gamble, I believe in them, that was a couple of years ago. They built blockchain to track their product from the source, from the farm and stuff like that, because sometimes there's recall, because there's bacteria and all that stuff. But these things doesn't impact us because we're mainstream user. It's not at our, so from our perspective, it's not mass adoption. You don't see it. But for businesses in the back, it's happening, right? It's used. How many percent? I think less than 5% in the world of major corporations using blockchain. Still very on what Ivan has said, right? And in games, tell me, I've looked at gaming for a while, right? I have not seen a blockchain game that was good to play. I'm a gamer. I play at least on average, I'm so sorry. I play at least like 2 to 3 hours every day, and I'm the cheapest gamer ever, meaning that I don't want to pay for anything, but I've learned so much how gaming company makes money. I play this game that has 25 million users actively a day. 6 months ago, I spent $10 US every month. Just assuming everybody's as cheap as me, only $10 a month I add on this game. I've been playing this game for 5 years. I spent over 5,000 US on this game already, being a cheap gamer, right? That's still a lot of money. But every month they trick me and I have to pay extra $10. That's 250 million a month passive income, okay? And then I'm sure they're growing. This number was 3 years ago. Now they came up with a new function. Now my budget every month is $50 US. I'm pissed, but I still do it because that's what game does to you. So I mean, like, find me a game that can do that in blockchain, and I said they make it to mainstream. So far, I haven't seen any, right? Gaming company, I always say that gaming company right now is moving to Web 2 businesses, traditional business, and disrupting it, because look at Roblox, Fortnite, and all that stuff, all the brands coming in. If a Web 2 company is smart enough to leverage the gaming concept into the business, wow, that is major disruption. I'm working on a project right now for a big traditional business to introduce a new concept, to twist it around. I've been doing research for the past 6 years. I'm doing this on my own accord because I really wanted one of the C-level executive to show how would this be done. It would disrupt a very traditional, highly compliant business with gaming components. What would it do to its revenue source? So that's the fun part of being in an era. You guys are so lucky. We're in an era, there's emergence of different tech and different possibility. I mean, especially when you're VC. I used to be on the VC side on Great Eagle. I mean, I was part of the investment committee. And now I'm working for PyLab, but we invest in pop tech, right? So very different. It's an amazing time, right? And I know, I'm just so excited, I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, if you're talking about VCs in Web3 space, I think there are like 2 types of VCs. One type is kind of like very similar to traditional venture capital market when they're looking at the product, when they're looking at the team, at the business model, so very traditional. So there is another type of VCs in Web3 space, and there are quite many of these VCs. They really don't care about any kind of like product. They look at the tokenomics, they look at the market making, and the only purpose of the investment is to take the profit on the high. And then they don't care like what's happening with the projects like afterwards. And yes, exactly. And I know quite many VCs like this, and also if we are talking about like entrepreneurs in Web3 space, there are like a blacklist of VCs that are just dumping the price of the token like on the high. So, but also like there are like still VCs and investors who are looking at the project, at the team, and the business model, and this kind of project. And the answer to the question like if there are any kind of good project happening right now, I would say there are many. So because we are running the startup competition at WOW Summit, and so this is a part of every WOW Summit. And then I can also see like how the quality of the project is evolving. So from, in example, 2017 until now. So now projects are trying to solve some kind of like real life use cases with the technology, with the blockchain. So yeah, I do believe it's always about like understanding. So what is really project doing? I agree with Akina that like gaming is one of the space where Web3 technology and the blockchain will really grow. But also I do believe there are many projects that they don't really need blockchain at all.
Yeah, so it's already 5 something. We want to make sure we have time for networking. You can definitely grab us and ask more questions. And that concludes our session. Did you have any last words? We want to thank you, Cyberport, for having us here and in front of your community as well.